We will now turn it over to Christian Dellis, our Deputy Director for Phytosanitary Issue Management.
You're good. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jay. Hopefully everyone can hear me. And thank you for allowing me to present today on the current status of export certification in the U.S. My name is Christian Dellis. I work for USDA APHIS PPQ's Phytosanitary Issues Management staff, and I'm the Deputy Director over the Export Services Unit within PIM. A little bit about PSIT PEXD statistics right now. Last year, we did 740,000 certificates using the PSIT system. 680,000 of those were federal phytosanitary certificates to foreign destinations, and 60,000 of those were state certificates facilitating movement of goods from state to state. The state certificate use of the system continues to increase, and it actually increased quite a bit last year, even though we had the COVID pandemic. And the federal certificates dropped off pretty significantly when COVID first started, but by the end of the year, it was back to almost the same numbers as the previous year. We do collect and remit $1.7 million per month to participating states and counties. We also encourage any other states that haven't started yet to sign up to allow their money to be collected that way. I believe most states would indicate that it's a real time and effort saver in the long run. So far in the first 6 months of this year, we have made 13,000 changes to PEXD summaries. We constantly get new requirements from foreign countries and need to make modifications. We've also been focusing a lot on quality control efforts throughout the past couple of years. We have now removed other from the 3 fields that were causing us problem, which preemptively eliminates errors on roughly 2% of certificates historically. And we've been going through the back end and correcting many previous mistakes. And there were roughly 900,000 incorrect botanical names on previous certificates. Now those have all been changed so they would actually show up and further enhances reports. As far as upcoming changes, we're working on a number of screen-by-screen enhancements, mostly in response to user friendliness and from feedback that we've received from users. But also there are a number of things where we need to change so that we're more compatible with the data needed for EFIDO to successfully work. We're also working on a feed where industry can automatically send us information to create their applications instead of having to log into PSIT. There's been many industries that have asked for this over the years, and we're now pretty close to being able to start piloting it. It will likely be with the cotton industry first, and then expanding to the grain industry next. Nothing really changes for our end users as far as how we process phytos and applications. It's more to automate the industry feed to us. We're also working on moving to plain paper. A number of countries have already done this. It's actually, the security features are not as important anymore because we all have QR codes and external ways to validate certificates, even if we're not doing electronic certification. And with the pandemic, we've seen that more and more countries were willing to be flexible and accept the plain paper, and we haven't had near as many problems as we once thought we would. We also are working on some reference data management. This is more related to codes that are attached to the specific terms that we have, and that's so that we can do further automation in electronic certification. And PEXD is currently undergoing a technology refresh. It's been several years since the background code has been modified and updated, and the platform that it sits on. So that's ongoing at the moment and should be done in the next 3 months. As far as EFIDO in the United States exchange, we are now sending to 50 trading partners, which is very exciting considering for years and years and years it was a slow go. We're receiving from 23 trading partners. The big discrepancy there is the European Union. Only a couple of the European Union countries are currently sending certificates, but they are receiving. We only do our exchanges now through the IPPC's hub. We used to have 2 bilateral connections, but they've both been disabled and transitioned to a hub exchange. Incoming FIDOs are automatically repackaged and sent to Customs and Border Protection, which does enable paperless trade. And frankly, paperless is possible now with several trading partners. Chile, Argentina, even Mexico have indicated they no longer really need the paper. But some of our challenges that remain there is that industry still needs the paper for some other purposes, and we still haven't modified the system to where it sort of stops doing the security paper printing. As far as upcoming enhancements on EFIDO, we're working on reporting. We're also working on notices of non-compliance. So once we've received a certificate, we would be able to send a message back to the foreign country with regard to that certificate if there was a problem with either the document or if we found a pest, which hopefully leads to much more rapid response to any sort of problems that are identified and further automation. Just as an idea, here are the countries that are currently exchanging EFIDOs. The countries that are underlined are all actually using the generic system. And this is a real breakthrough for us because it makes sure that all countries that can have a seat at the table and participate. And we're really happy with the number of countries that have started using that system. There's roughly 20 other countries that are pursuing the generic system, and roughly that same number as well that are looking to connect their own system to the IPPC hub. I would actually mention something here, like we're really actually starting to identify many of the benefits of EFIDO as well. Just a couple of weeks ago, my colleagues from Mexico contacted me and they thought there was a problem because they didn't have an EFIDO. And we looked it up on our side and we didn't have it either. And it was a fake certificate that was being presented. So it's really nice that we're actually starting to see where it's having a positive impact on preventing some of the fraudulent activity and eliminating many of those concerns with lost certificates. Here's just a little snapshot. I think it's very relevant on how fast it started growing now. 2018, it was very little incoming, outgoing certificates. 2019 early was when we really started getting the IPPC hub up and running. And you'll notice that there was a huge spike between 19 and 20. And that's when many countries recognized they had to do something in regards to the pandemic and get their systems connected and up and running. And the 2021 numbers, that's just for the first 6 months of 2021. So we'll far surpass what we did in 2020 as electronic certificates. Here's a couple of changes that were made in PSET with regards to EFIDO to make it more transparent to the certifying officials and industry. On the outgoing side, under managed processed applications, we've included 2 columns, EFIDO sent and EFIDO received. The EFIDO sent is when we actually send the EFIDO successfully to the IPPC, then this will say yes. And EFIDO received, it changes to yes when the foreign country has actually obtained it successfully as well. So it's sort of a 2-step process. We send it to the hub, and then the foreign country has to gather it from there. On the incoming side, you can see all the incoming certificates now. We automatically repackage them, send them over to our ARM system, who then shares them with CBP. And we're actually starting to get inspection results and any action taken back from CBP through ARM as well. ACO Training, this is another initiative that has actually become more, I think, identified as a need through the pandemic. And we've been offline with our online training for a couple of years now, and we've got some ongoing challenges with that. AgLearn was one challenge, and how it, when they modified and went to their new version, we weren't able to move PSIT at the same time. And also, we've had a lot of feedback over the years that people really miss the sort of in-person interactions that they get with their ECSs. So our ECSs have been working on and have developed now an online/virtual training that's currently being conducted and tested, and so far have been very well received with high ACO attendance. We've had roughly 24 classes in the past 4 months. And if you do have ACOs that need training immediately, please reach out to your ECS so that we can get it set up. Just because your ECS may not be ready to do the training, there are several ECSs that have done training for areas that are outside of their normal coverage, and I'm sure we can get something set up. Otherwise, we're still working to formalize and finalize all the materials so that all the ECSs can deliver some sort of virtual training to all their ECOs throughout 2022. And we're also working on some specialized commodity specific training, which the commodity specialists will be delivering in the near future. And that brings me to the commodity specialists. They are a relatively new position within PPQ field operations. They do work on imports, exports, and domestic programs related to their specific commodities. For exports, so far, they've been helping specifically with accreditation, audits, and non-compliance investigations. They also have been working to consolidate issues seen with the commodities that they cover. Currently, we have 4 commodity specialists, one for potatoes, seeds, grain, and forest products. And these determinations were just based on the number of FIDOs that come with those commodities, and that many of those commodities have a fair number of questions related to them. For any specific issue, the ECS is still the first point of contact. And as they raise issues to the commodity specialist, if we identify trends across the country, they're working on providing more specified guidance to help with those issues. For example, we recently had a job aid come out for lumber products, and we're working on a review of 921-2s that we get for FGIS for grain certification. And that's all I have, Jay. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time.